Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. New Cowboys WR Jonathan Mingo's Week 11 status versus Texans revealed. Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones has been busy deflecting questions about putting up sun shades at AT&T Stadium, discussing Dak Prescott's health, and hearing the ongoing Cooper Rush versus Trey Lance debate. As his team prepares for a tough Week 11 Monday Night Football matchup with the Houston Texans, Jones is surely hoping to give the fanbase something to feel optimistic about. With the Cowboys sitting at 3-6 and their playoff hopes at the lowest point of the season, that potential reason for optimism will be tough to find. But for Jones's sake, maybe he'll get to quiet the critics of the trade to acquire Carolina Panthers wide receiver Jonathan Mingo ahead of the trade deadline. According to longtime Cowboys reporter Clarence Hill Jr., Mingo informed him that he'll debut for the team on Monday night. Cowboys WR Jonathan Mingo told me he will make his Cowboys debut against the Texans Monday. The Cowboys traded a fourth-round pick to the Panthers in exchange for Mingo and a seventh-round selection. However, the move came with heavy pushback from the fanbase, media, and analysts, as they sent Carolina more for Mingo than they received previously when trading away Amari Cooper. To add insult to injury, the Kansas City Chiefs acquired DeAndre Hopkins in exchange for a fifth-round draft pick that can become a fourth if the Chiefs reach the Super Bowl and Hopkins plays 60% of the snaps. In short, the Chiefs may have acquired Hopkins for less than what the Cowboys sent the Panthers for an unproven Mingo. The Dallas Cowboys roller coaster ride is stuck in a downhill trajectory after falling to 3-6 on the year with Week 10's loss to the rival Philadelphia Eagles. The season is beginning to look over at this point because unless America's team completely runs the gauntlet down the stretch, the Cowboys will likely miss the playoffs for the first time since 2020. Needless to say, owner/general manager Jerry Jones will likely look to make some serious changes in the offseason. While certain players' futures in town are likely guaranteed despite this year's struggles, others have potentially already played themselves out of Dallas plans and probably should have been sent packing at last week's trade deadline. With that in mind, here are 7 Cowboys who likely don't have much of a future with the franchise despite surviving the deadline. Jerry Jones addresses Ezekiel Elliott's shaky job security with Cowboys. Week 10 marked Ezekiel Elliott's return to the Dallas Cowboys lineup after being a healthy scratch for the first time in his career 1 week earlier. Unsurprisingly, the veteran runner failed to make an impact in the Cowboys' 34-6 loss to the rival Philadelphia Eagles, turning 6 carries into a mere 22 rushing yards while fumbling the ball once. Elliott, 29, has been tough to watch following his return to Dallas. However, that hasn't stopped America's team from giving him opportunity after opportunity. It's gotten to the point where Cowboys supporters are wondering if the struggling RB's workload is contingent on his name and past accomplishments rather than his current production. So, is it time for the Cowboys to take off their goggles and finally see Elliott for who he is? While some fans are concerned that the franchise is holding on to years gone by, Cowboys owner/general manager Jerry Jones doesn't believe that's the case when it comes to Elliott. "We're not living in the past with Zeke," Jones told 105.3 The Fan on Tuesday morning, according to The Athletic's John Machota. The 82-year-old owner added that he still feels positive about Elliott's return even if it hasn't gone as planned. It's commendable to see Jones standing up for his player, however, that doesn't mean he's right. If the Cowboys weren't living in the past, they likely would have made a real play to sign either Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry this offseason. Instead, they opted to hand the number 1 RB reins over to Elliott, who's been on the decline in recent years. Let's state the obvious, there's no taking away from what Elliott accomplished in his first stint with the Cowboys. The former Ohio State currently ranks 3rd in franchise history when it comes to carries, 1,935, rushing yards, 8,433, and rushing touchdowns, 70, cementing himself as one of the best RBs that Dallas has ever seen. Nobody would be complaining if Elliott was still performing at that level, but that isn't the case. The three-time Pro Bowl runner is averaging the fewest rushing yards per game, 21.4, and yards per carry, 3.2, in his career this season and has only hit the 40-yard mark once throughout his first 8 outings. Cowboys fans thought the coaches were ready to move on from Elliott when he was a healthy scratch in Week 9. After all, Rico Dowdle tallied 107 scrimmage yards and a TD in his absence, while Dalvin Cook continued to see more playing time. Dallas didn't build off that performance, though, instead reverting to its old ways by scratching Cook on Sunday, while Dowdle recorded 2 fewer touches upon Elliott's return. If anything, that proved that the coaching staff isn't ready to move on from the past just yet. We'll see where Elliott stands in the offensive plans when the Cowboys host the Houston Texans at AT&T Stadium this weekend. It's shaping up to be another lopsided tilt in Dallas as FanDuel Sportsbook is currently listing the Texans as 7.5-point favorites over the Cowboys in Week 11. SI tracks Deion Sanders' Dallas Cowboys rumor to its source. Sports Illustrated's Kyle Koster tracked the Deion Sanders to the Dallas Cowboys rumor to its source and found that it was essentially manifested online before it ever reached Jerry Jones' desk, but it did reach Jones' desk. There's a chicken and egg nature to all of this that's so interesting because it only takes a tiny sliver of momentum to astroturf something into existence. Meaning that Jones could conceivably look around, see all these people who would be excited by Sanders coaching the Cowboys and then seriously consider the idea, Koster wrote. To his credit, Sanders has been focused on the task in hand and isn't breathing an ounce of life into this narrative. Yet at a point very soon it won't even matter what he has to say because once a juicy topic like this makes the round on television, it's so hard to put back into the tube. A year after Sanders was accused, perhaps rightly, of creating a circus at the expense of winning, one is being constructed all around him. Deion Sanders, Cowboys coach, will more than likely never be a thing. But it already is a different type of thing in the media. Again, for those in the back, Coach Prime has no interest in the Cowboys or any NFL coaching opportunity and has made that crystal clear. I don't have any desire or ambition to coach in the NFL, Sanders told SI in June. I have a problem with men getting their checks and not doing their jobs. I would be too tough as a coach in the NFL because I still have those old school attributes. People are too hung up on nostalgia. Instead of thinking about Sanders helping the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, folks need to embrace what's going on at Folsom Field right now. Because it's the glory days in Boulder, with Sandrr Sanders and Travis Hunter now, and with, more than likely, Julian Lewis in the future. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Deion Sanders? Leave your opinion in the comments.